What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. We've talked on the YouTube channel a number of times, guys, about the Quake franchise and how this is one of those founding father games in esports as a whole. And I don't think there's really any debate at this point, guys. This is the game that's, goes back to the 90s and a franchise that is really over time done incredibly well. However, we haven't seen a direct continuation from a story perspective since Quake 4. And with that, guys, I wanted to go ahead and talk about Quake 5 because this is a game that's having a lot of rumblings, a lot of talks and speculation that Quake 5 very well may be coming out in the very foreseeable future. So let's talk about it. So obviously, guys, the newest game in this franchise is Quake Champions, which, came back, back in 2018. However, it's a, free to play and it's only a multiplayer based experience. And with that, there's nothing wrong with that. I love the multiplayer experiences, and that's what really brings people in when it comes to the Quake universe. However, I think people have been waiting for quite some time now for, a continuation off of Quake 4 and a continuation in a kind of capacity of a campaign as a whole. And so if we look at the list of the games, guys, that have come out in Quake, you had the first Quake, then the second, and then of course Quake 3 Arena, and then Quake 4 came out, and then you had Enemy Territory Quake Wars. You also, of course, had mission packs with Quake 1 as well as Quake 2. But with that, Enemy Territory Quake Wars came out as well, and then followed, of course, by Quake Champions in 2018. So what am I getting at here? Well, here's the thing. Quake Champions, guys, absolutely something that I think people are certainly excited about, people are enjoying at this point in time, even though it hasn't been fully released as of yet. It is a free-to-play game, though, however, and I think that people enjoy it, and that's what Quake's all about, is really the multiplayer experience. That's what brings you back to the game over and over again. However, there's definitely this sense that people want a true continuation of the Quake franchise, that being in the form of Quake 5. And so with that, guys, I think we can kind of base a lot of this on, even though we haven't gotten an official announcement of Quake 5 at this point, we can base a lot on Quake Champions when this game is, essentially fully released to everyone. A free-to-play game. I think that what ID Software is thinking at this point in time is they, have a multiplayer side of Quake that, of course, is free-to-play. But then Quake 5 maybe is the continuation of the story. And maybe they, of course, add things along the way to Quake Champions. It sounds to me, though, guys, that Quake Champions is going to be the long, drawn-out multiplayer experience for Quake. So if you want to play Quake from a multiplayer perspective, you go to Quake Champions. If you want to play a single-player experience or even maybe some co-op experiences, that's where Quake 5 is going to come into play. When will we see this game? It's incredibly hard to say, guys, because obviously with Quake Champions not 100% released as of yet, okay? It's free to play, and it's been free to play since 2018, but I don't think it's like a fully, fleshed out, the game isn't 100% even released at this point in time. So what I think we can kind of look at is when this game finally does become, fully released, that's when we can start looking at the time frame of a Quake 5. I believe, guys, that Quake 5 is actually in development at this very point in time. It's probably in the relatively early stages over at ID Software. I don't see why this is a game that is not, in development at this point. We look at another title from Bethesda, which being, of course, Doom. And Doom, guys, has done an incredibly good job of not only doing a really fun, exciting story, but they also have done a really good job of making it a fun multiplayer experience. The battle mode is certainly something unique, and that's what I really enjoy about Doom Eternal. And I think you have similarities here with Quake. Quake, guys, is one of the founding fathers of esports, and I think it's really important that this game continues to exist amongst other other esports titles out there, and I'm sure it will. I just want them to be, there to be a lot of emphasis on Quake, because I think it's important for the scene as a whole. Not saying that games like Doom aren't important for the scene, because I do think they are, but for esports as a whole, Quake is incredibly important. And so I think that even though Quake Champions has a lot of people enjoying it, there's a lot of people that are very skeptical and feel that it's not the true continuation of Quake that they wanted. And so hopefully over time ID Software can kind of get this game to a place in which it feels like a good old Quake title. And so with that, guys, at this point in time, what can we expect as far as, Quake 5, and when can we expect it to come out? Because the things that we know so far is all speculation, and it's all a bunch of rumblings and talk and leaks and such that Quake 5 is in development at this point in time. What I will say is this. I believe that Quake can learn a number of things from Doom and Doom Eternal and just the franchise as a whole, because what Doom has done really well, guys, is not only make a really solid story, but they also created these multiplayer experiences that in this game and title is starting to grow over time. And so what I'm getting at is Quake can do something similar here, can do something really special with this title, and hopefully with the upcoming title, that being Quake 5. Now we'll have to kind of wait and see, guys, with QuakeCon and other, of course, conventions that will be coming up throughout the course of the year, seeing if Quake 5 is in development. I think if we were to find out about Quake 5, it would be at QuakeCon here in 2020. And so I'm excited about that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we get an announcement of Quake 5. And what that looks like, it's hard to say, but I am nonetheless incredibly excited about the future of this franchise, because I think that I trust ID Software as a company, as a developer here with this Quake franchise. They know it means a lot to so many people, and that this is one of the staples in esports. It's important that it stays that way, and it really makes a significant comeback in a number of ways. But with that, guys, let me know what you guys think. When do you think we'll get an announcement of Quake 5 at this point in time? Are you guys wanting a Quake 5, or is Quake Champions enough for you all? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Quake 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Destiny and this franchise as a whole, guys, and our hopes for the future and what it could maybe all look like. Well, in this segment of the show, I wanted to talk with you guys about everything that we want out of Destiny 3, the next continuation of this franchise moving forward. So let's get into it. When I say we, guys, I mean myself in particular. I'll be giving you guys my opinions here. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So, guys, for me, a really big thing for me moving in from Destiny 2 to Destiny 3 is I want to see a full campaign here. And look, I understand the need for multiplayer in games and such, and I've stated many times that multiplayer is very important because it brings you back to the game over and over again. And that in Destiny 3 is no different here. However, coming off of Destiny 2, we had no campaign. And so a multiplayer experience, and look, I know they're continuing to update it and such, which is great, but having an experience that is a single player experience where you're able to go through the story and learn more about the lore and the story that is Destiny as a whole, I think will be very important moving forward. Bungie are great storytellers. We know this from the Halo games, and moving into Destiny, I want to see continuations of that and kind of get get more of a feel for what this, the future of this game and franchise is going to look like. They're trying to still fix, of course, Destiny 2 at this point, but I really want them to kind of move in this direction where they're going to have a full package, where they have, a single-player story, co-op elements, multiplayer, of course, but overall, there's multiple ways you can connect with the game is very important to me. That leads me to the next thing, which is new characters, new environments, new locations, new places to explore and such. I would love to see, a semi-open world in the campaign, maybe even a full open world, just to learn as much as we possibly can about the Destiny franchise, because we, of course, had a game where we didn't really get any of that. We didn't get to kind of learn more about the story. I mean, you get to learn certain things, of course, as they're adding content along the way, But what I'm getting at is from the story perspective, I really want to be able to explore and understand different things about the lore and the story that is Destiny, and I think it's primed for something like that moving into Destiny 3. That leads me to the next thing, guys, which, of course, having, similarities to, the other games, that being like Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, but also having those differences, having new weaponry, having new ways you can traverse the world, having new customization, items and such, being able to customize your character, customize your weapons and things of that nature, where you're able to earn items over paying for items, I think is really important. And what I'm getting at here, guys, is we look at the microtransactions that are put into a lot of these games nowadays, and I think that it's okay to have, different, payable items, but I think it's really important to have earnable items that people are trying to earn within the game, and you can kind of like show those things off in multiplayer and such, and I think that's really important to bring people back to the game over and over again. Destiny has a very solid fan base. In order to grow that, I believe ways like implementing, having earnable items over that of payable items, I think would be a great way to really build this fan base in a major way. Another thing, guys, for me, is I want to see the continuation here of Destiny. I just want to see Destiny 3 come out, not only because Bungie had already teased it years ago, but also because I just think it's important that they kind of get almost a fresh slate here. They're no longer, tied to Activision whatsoever, and they can do their own thing now with Destiny 2, but it's a little bit too late, in my opinion. I think Destiny 3 would bring a lot of those people back to at least try the game, and I think it would also bring people back to at least see what it's all about. And, that kind of leads me to the next thing, which is having free-to-play, elements to Destiny 3. That being like the multiplayer or, certain modes within the multiplayer, co-op or something of that nature, where there's free-to-play elements to Destiny 3 that people more and more, whether you're talking big personalities or just people who just like playing games casually, can at least try the game and see what they think about it, and maybe they'll decide to buy the full version, that being like the campaign, the campaign and like co-op modes and such. Having free-to-play elements, guys, I think is really great. You look at big titles out there like Call of Duty Warzone, you look at, Fortnite and Valorant, all these different games that have free-to-play, totally free-to-play, or have elements of free-to-play, I think is really important, especially for Destiny, bringing people back to the franchise. And with that, guys, these are the main things that I would like to see in Destiny 3 moving forward. Of course, I want to see Bungie kind of have their own, their own kind of flavor to Destiny 3, not being tied to Activision, being able to kind of do their own thing, have everything kind of the way they want it. They can kind of go at it at their own pace. I'm excited to see that and see what they're able to come up with. We'll have to wait and see, guys. As we get more information, I'll be sure to give it to all you guys as we hear more about Destiny 3. But with that, I want to pass it on to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to see a Destiny 3? And if so, what are the things that you want changed from Destiny 2 to Destiny 3? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Destiny 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. After its announcement, one of my most anticipated games now up and coming in the future is State of Decay 3. I'm really excited about this game, guys, for a number of reasons. And obviously, I have not played the other two games in the series, but I can definitely say from watching the reveal trailer and such, and starting to kind of do a little bit of some research on this series as a whole, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys the top 5 things that I would like to see out of State of Decay 3. And so with that, guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you guys think in the comment section down below? A person who doesn't have any familiarity at this point in time with State of Decay as of yet, definitely going to be changing that very shortly. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of go from based on the things that I've seen from gameplay, from the things that I've seen from reviews and things of that nature on the State of Decay series up to this point. I definitely wanted to give my 2 cents. So mainly, guys, the top 5 things that I want in State of Decay 3 are going to be based around the trailer that we got at Xbox Game Showcase. So let's get into it. So at number 1, guys, I stated that when I first saw the trailer for State of Decay 3, reminded me a lot of The Last of Us 3. This is an Xbox approach, in my opinion, to taking on The Last of Us, and I love it. I love the added competition there, but the first thing I really want is for State of Decay 3 to be itself and to kind of just be its own thing, not trying to copy what is, come before it. I think that there's certainly elements of it that can kind of take, kudos from The Last of Us or try to even evolve those things and make it even better. I am very excited about that, and from watching the trailer, a very well-crafted trailer, in my opinion, the best trailer at Xbox Game Showcase. And with that, I would really like to see, a Last of Us style Xbox exclusive, and I think that State of Decay 3 is certainly going to be that. I just want it to be itself, not to try to copy things that made The Last of Us successful. So that's at number 1. Number 2 for me, guys, is I think from watching a lot of the other, State of Decay games, I'd love to see new characters, new enemies, new environments, like different locations that you can explore. And I think we're definitely going to be getting that here after watching the trailer and such, watching gameplay of the other, State of Decay games, getting some familiarity, getting some characters that are new, having some characters that are, from the other titles, I think is really important. Having new enemies. Looks like we're definitely going to be getting some new enemies in State of Decay 3, which I'm really excited about. Having new weaponry, new ways we can traverse the world. New locations, guys, having like those, locations that are familiar to us, but also having locations that are totally new, I think are going to really help kind of make State of Decay stand out and really become a staple in the Xbox exclusive, exclusives that are out there for this title and for just Xbox as a whole. And I just think having familiarity is good, but also having those differences is very good as well. That leads me to number 3, guys, which I think that, I talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel about having full packages. And State of Decay 3, I believe, is going to be another full package for Xbox. That being campaign, a really visceral campaign, having multiplayer elements, co-op elements, and things of that nature, I believe are going to be in it. But I would love to see State of Decay 3 have more emphasis on multiplayer and co-op modes. And here's why. When I look at the landscape of gaming, and then when you go on Twitch, when you go on YouTube and you see the viewers and see how many people are watching other streamers play these games, State of Decay is not getting a lot of engagement, and I think one of those reasons is because after you beat the story, of course there's multiplayer, but I think that it's important that there's more emphasis there on the multiplayer and co-op. Not saying that that takes away from the story, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, after you beat the single player story, most likely if there's not a lot of other things to do, you're going to move on to other games. So what I would love to see, guys, in State of Decay 3 is a lot of emphasis on multiplayer to kind of take this from, where it is at this point and really take it a step further, like that of think of Halo, think of Gears of War, think of these titles that are Xbox exclusives that do a really good job of having a single player story. They also have, co-op modes, they have really great multiplayer modes, and people are coming back over and over again to play those games. And so I would love to see that here with State of Decay, where this can become a staple for Xbox as a whole. And I think the way you do that is by multiplayer, having co-op, things to do outside of the single player story. Because after you're done playing the single player story, you're definitely, if you love the game, you want to come back to it. But if there isn't that much to do, you're going to move on to other games. So I hope they do that as a whole. And that leads me, guys, into number 4, which as a whole, guys, I think having, new weapons, having all kinds of different, characters and such that you're able to have at your disposal for multiplayer, for co-op, even in the campaign would be an interesting concept as well. But I think having a lot of ways to customize your characters, customizing the things that you're using, your weaponry and such. In multiplayer, having a lot of customization options. And I'm not talking about having a lot of monetization tactics. I'm talking having things that are earnable items within the game. Having things that are earnable over payable, I think, is really important for State of Decay 3. Having ways that you're able to earn items within the campaign, within the multiplayer co-op, that you can show off when you're in an in-game lobby with a bunch of other people getting ready for a matchup. You've got like a lot of different ways that you can have different titles, emblems, ranks, and things of that nature that you can show off to other people. And I think that's really important as well. And you can really show how much time you're putting into the game, and other people can see that and they try to earn the same things. And so I think it's important to have, different customization options as well. And even more so, even more multiplayer modes and things of that nature. So you're able to play a lot of different styles, whether PvP, PvE, whatever it might be. And that leads me, guys, into number 5. And I don't think we're going to have a problem with this, but I've seen this happen time and time again in with horror games. Dead Space is an example. You could even bring up some of the Resident Evil games. You could bring up a number of titles. And I think it's important that, a lot of horror titles out there will change what made them so great. So, for example, Fear and Dead Space were, horror with action elements, and they changed over time to action over horror, which meant basically that they were going to have it was an action game that kind of had some horror elements to it. And what I'm getting at, State of Decay 3 looks like a very visceral horror style game with action elements. I want to see horror over action, guys, here in State of Decay 3. Stay true to what this series is all about. I think it's important that there's certainly going to be action elements to it, but stay as a horror game, because that's what's really going to keep on bringing people back. And State of Decay 3, the way they presented it and promoted it at the Xbox Game Showcase, definitely got me so interested because of the level of intensity and horror that looks like it's being put in and kind of dedicated to this game. And that's an exciting thing. So with that, guys, State of Decay 3, those are the 5 things that I really want to see in this game at this point. I'm sure this list will change as we get more information, as we see gameplay and things of that nature. But right here, right now, those are the things I want to see. What do you want to see in State of Decay 3? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more State of Decay 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked a lot on the YouTube channel about the Gears of War franchise, one of my favorite franchises of all time, and we've talked about the future of this franchise and where it could be going from here, from the story perspective, multiplayer, co-op, and things of that nature. And so what I want to go ahead and do, guys, is talk about Gears 6 and everything that we know so far about this title. What can we expect in the future? So let's get into it. So, guys, Gears 6, everything that we know so far. So we don't know a lot at this point, other than that has been confirmed at this point by Rod Ferguson. He was the studio head at the Coalition. Of course, he's moved on now to Blizzard to work on Diablo. But what he stated was that, of course, Gears 6 as well as Gears 7 and even a Gears of War movie were confirmed and were happening. And so obviously, guys, that leaves us very excited that there is going to be further continuations of the Gears of War franchise. This was further confirmed when an Xbox Games Studios image was shown, and it showed all the Xbox Game Studios and showed everything that they were working on. One of those, of course, being the Coalition. They are working on partnering and helping out with the reboot for Perfect Dark, but they are also working on Gears 6. And so what I'm getting at here, guys, is that Gears 6 is definitely at the early stages of production at this point. Definitely something that is happening, and that is very reassuring to me, because there was a point in time where I was worried that Gears 6 might not get made because of such backlash coming out of the community around Gears 5. And I just thought that sometimes that our community, the Gears community as a whole, was a little bit too hard on the Coalition. I mean, it's because of the Coalition that we have further Gears of War titles, and I understand why people have gotten upset about things here and there. But overall, I think Gears of War is one of the greatest games ever made, and I just want to see its continued success over time. And I think now with Gears 6 being confirmed at this point, and then further confirmed there, which you guys can check out all of my Gears of War 6 content here on the YouTube channel to kind of get caught up on where we're at. But the things that we know, is it currently in development? Most likely, guys, absolutely. The Coalition is certainly working on it at this point. They're also working on current operations for Gears 5. But what I'm getting at is Gears 6 is definitely somewhere in development. It probably isn't very far in development at this point because they're still working on operations. But part of the team at the Coalition is certainly working on Gears 6. There's a reason why that image showed that they were working on the Perfect Dark reboot, but they're also working on Gears 6. It didn't say Gears 5. So that's reassuring, guys. Gears 6 is coming at some point or another, which is definitely something that just kind of further confirms what Rod Ferguson was stating. And that gets me very excited, guys, because this is one of my favorite franchises, and it's pretty much all that we can go on. Now, as far as what's canon here with Gears 6, with JD and Dell, with that whole situation at the end of Gears 5, the decision that you have to make, what's going to be canon, what's not. Is Kate Diaz going to continue being the main character that we helm or that we play as? All of those things are big question marks. The other thing is, of course, the esports side of things with Gears, Gears 5 esports, I believe is, still kind of trying to figure out what it needs to do at this point in time and kind of really maneuver around all the roadblocks that have been coming up. But that also comes up with like the operations and things of that nature, guys. It's very important, at least to me, that we, continue trying to support Gears of War in a major way to really guarantee that it's going to continue in the foreseeable future. Gear 6 and Gear 7, guys, that's 2 more titles here. If we, continue as a community and work together to try and, kind of continue building this following, the fan base that is Gears of War, I think we could be in a great position moving forward. But with that, guys, the things that we know, when is Gears 6 going to release? Well, we don't know at this point, guys. We didn't get a reveal or anything of that sort at, of course, the Xbox Game Showcase. I would say there's a good chance that we could get a very sneak peek at Xbox Game Showcase next year in 2021. It may still be a couple of years away. It's probably going to be a couple of years away, guys. We would probably just get like maybe a really quick teaser trailer of Gears 6 at the Xbox Game Showcase next year. Obviously, having Gears of War on the Xbox Series X could be something super special. I thought the graphics of Gears 6 or Gears 5 were incredible. Could we get a full open world at this point with Gears 6? That could be something really special. Being able to fully explore even further this world, the lore, the story that is Gears of War. I'm excited for it, guys. I really am. But we as a community have to come together, voice our opinions, but in a very, a civil way, right? To the developers, that being the coalition and such, if we want further games to be made in this franchise. But with that, guys, what do you all think about a Gear 6 being made at this point? Gear 7 greenlit? What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gear 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.